Welcome to Hannah's Heart.
So Hannah, she's just one of the women who did struggle with infertility in the Bible.
No matter who we are, we can be inspired by the fact that Hannah took her pain to God, and God heard her and was with her.
So when she was praying at the temple, she had been weeping and not eating, and her lips were moving, but her eyes were closed, and the priest was like, "Hey, why are you drunk at the temple?"
It can become an obsession when you want a child so deeply.
And desiring that baby and to be a mama. Every holiday, every Mother's Day.
This is not a show that's going to promise you a certain outcome, but this is a show that says, however God answers your cry, we know that He's enough.
Hey, I'm Ann.
And I'm Kendra, and you're listening to Hannah's Heart on American Family Radio. We are a show based on the story of Hannah in the Bible, who prayed and prayed and prayed to have a child. The Lord ended up giving her Samuel, and she surrendered him to God. So our show covers everything from infertility to miscarriage to fostering or adoption. Whatever your journey is, we just want to encourage you along the way to cling to Christ.
That's right. We hope we can do that. Every time you listen to this, we just hope you're encouraged, inspired, I don't know, all the good things.
And feel seen.
And feel seen, because there can be definitely really hard things to talk about. And one of those things is today. I do want to, just, I guess, not warning, but just to let people know, we are going to be talking about miscarriage today. I know that's something that we've definitely talked about on the show before. But if you feel like, okay, I just experienced a miscarriage not long ago, I don't know if I can listen to this, we totally understand. We'll see you back next week. But also, you might have just walked through a miscarriage and you might think, I need to hear someone else who has walked through this. True. I want to know, like you're saying, to be seen. And so you might, be one of those categories, and whichever category you are, we understand and we are with you. Today we have a special guest on. She works here at AFA with us, but she was still just as hard to schedule as anyone else to have on the program. We have Rebecca Davis. You are the editor of The Stand magazine.
Yeah, I am.
And so we're so happy to have you on. Obviously, miscarriage is going to be part of your story, so I hate that that's the reason that you're here, but I am just thankful that you're willing to come on and share. And Kendra even prayed before the episode. You mentioned that even though it was years ago, it feels fresh as we're sitting here talking about it today. And so that just shows you how real that sweet life was, that you did end up miscarrying. And so I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Hey, quick shout out before we jump into your full story. Back in January, we got to work with you on a really exciting Hannah's Heart project. The Stand releases a monthly publication, but in January, it was Sanctity of Human Life Month, and we did a whole issue that's about all the topics that we talk about in Hannah's Heart.
All the topics.
And you wrote an article that was a part of that, and you share a little bit about the story that you're going to go more in depth to today. If they want to connect with The Stand and maybe even get this issue, what can they do?
Okay, they can actually go online to afa.net/The Stand, and you can click on the print version. There's a button there for the print version, and click there, and then you can click on the January-February 2025 link, and a PDF will pop up, and the whole issue is there.
Awesome.
I will say we are actually running very low on the hard copies because it has been so well received. Like, we have been so grateful. People beyond just our regular subscribers have called and asked for copies of the magazine. So I would encourage you to go online and take a look at it, because it's just, like I said, it's just a whole lot of information, but really, really helpful information. We were very excited and pleased with the way it turned out.
We were honored. It was as we met, I know this is not what this episode's about, but as we met with you guys and I watched the process of how y'all get this magazine together every month, I was just amazed at because y'all have to plan months ahead of time, and just doesn't work like that, but I had to.
You helped.
Well, that's what and it is. It's a challenge. Like, right now we're working on our July issue. We'll send the July issue off in a couple of weeks. So, yes, I joke all the time and say, I don't really know what month I'm living in. Am I in the time of this recording?
Month, it's still April. This might air a little bit later, but that's how far out.
So, we do have to plan ahead. But that was our first time to really do a themed issue. And so it, like I said, we were very pleased with it and grateful for how well received it was.
Well, good. Well, thank you. Well, and today we're going to talk about what you wrote about in that issue. And the title of your article, I think, is so good. It's called The Heartbreak That Won't Stop. So you care to just lead
jump
on
in.
from
Sure,
that? Just
sure.
tell us about that.
Yeah, and I really think that is the best way that I've been able to describe losing our baby is just the heartache or the heartbreak that won't go away. And this happened almost 13 years ago. And so it's been a little while, but still that heartache is still there. And time does heal. I mean, it truly does. I know that's kind of a cliche saying, but it does heal. But for me, it doesn't take that ache away.
It doesn't go
away. Right. It doesn't go away. It does get better with time, and the grief gets easier with time, but the thought of not having that child here with me is still hard.
Right. Because, I mean, I'm sure you still remember dates and stuff. You wrote in your article the date. It was December 28th, and so those dates stick with us after losing those babies, and they come around every year.
They do. And it's funny now because early on, like the first few years, I was always like spot on with the dates. But even now, something will be going on and, we'll just be carrying on with life. But then something's just not right. And I'll stop and I'll think and I'll go, oh, wait. This is when we lost the baby, or oh wait, this would have been his due date.
Yeah.
And I don't really realize
that gives
it.
me chills because it's like your body knows.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, we'll just be going on with life, but then I'll either be really just down or off, and then I realize, oh wait, this is what day it is. And so we had our son was almost 2 at the time that we found out we were expecting, and so we had him, but still that didn't
one baby
make a
doesn't
difference,
replace
and
the
you know
other.
that well for sure. And so we had him, and we were excited about welcoming a second one, but we had not shared a whole lot. We'd shared just with our families. It was around Christmas time, and so we had shared just with our families. And then my husband was a youth pastor at the time, and so he was traveling on a youth trip for New Year's, and I was staying at my parents' house with our son, and anyway, there were some stressful events that had happened, and things just began to unfold, and I knew very quickly what was happening with my body. And so I was about 6 weeks along. I had not gone to my first checkup yet, and so went to my local doctor, and of course they did an ultrasound. And I think what made it really difficult is that the ultrasound technician was really encouraging because the baby did have a heartbeat.
Wow.
He just had a very slow heartbeat. And so she's like, but he does have a heartbeat. This is encouraging. And so I kind of felt like, okay, maybe, it's going to be okay. And then when I went in and saw the actual doctor, and she was just very blunt, and she was like, no. It's not going to be okay. You're losing the baby. And that was really, really hard because
It's like you went back to a high, like,
Yeah.
okay,
yes,
we're okay.
like we might be okay. And then she was just very blunt, and that kind of hurt too. Like I really needed or wanted
soft
some more
compassion.
compassion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know that that's something that she deals with the doctor deals with every day. But, she was just like, no, you're miscarrying and the baby's not going to make it. And so
Did you actually get to hear the heartbeat, or just the
did.
technician?
I did.
There's something about that is almost like spiritual. Like, there's something when you hear that sound. Like every time I hear an ultrasound, like can be on TV and one gets played and you hear
Yeah, and you hear that.
Like, it's just such a reminder that really is a life, and that's a soul.
For sure. Absolutely.
I'm both sad and happy that you got to hear it.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think about often is I did not ever get a
report.
picture
Yeah.
from that ultrasound, and I wished that I had. But anyway, in the moment, but I do remember the beats, and as you asked that, I think Kendra, I do think we heard it, but I just remember it and just being hopeful that hey, it was there was life, and then just to have the opposite, told to me just a few minutes later. But I did go back to my parents' house, and my husband flew home, from the trip, and we just grieved there together. I think that's probably the most hopeless I've ever felt. Like there have been 2 times in my life where I just felt completely hopeless when it came to my children, and that was one of them, because I literally couldn't do anything.
And they basically send you home to naturally miscarry.
Yes,
and so you're just
sitting
waiting with this awful dark cloud hanging over you.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we did, and my husband was, he was there beside me, but he'll tell you too, like, it was really difficult for him because, as you know, he didn't have the connection to the baby that I did, only 6 weeks, along. And so he was there beside me, but it was hard for him to know. I mean, he felt helpless as well.
Right.
Because
but
it was
to fully
just like,
grasp what you're actually feeling.
Yes. And so we did. They sent us home, and we miscarried at home. And then he and I just had a little time. We just went out in my parents' backyard. We were living about 4 hours away at the time in South Mississippi. And so we had, like I said, I was staying with them while he was gone. And so he and I remember it was a rainy day, and he and I just went in the backyard and to the bottom of my parents' backyard where I grew up swinging and playing and all that. And we also had our wedding reception in their backyard. So we just went to the bottom of the backyard and just found a place and just had a little, I guess you could just say, just the 2 of us, just a little memorial service, just a little time to say goodbye. So.
Wow. And you refer to this baby as he.
I do. I don't know if it was or not. We weren't far enough along yet, but just the mama in me has always felt that it was a he. So.
I think that's so special, though, because sometimes it can bother me thinking about, because there's 2 miscarriages that I feel like, I feel like those babies, were either a boy or a girl, but I think it's important to that humanizes them.
Well, I just don't like calling a baby an it.
Yeah. It.
And so, like I said, I just naturally felt like the baby was a he, and I don't know. But
so in your grieving process, you said you hadn't told a lot of people. So then you have this awkward, like, I'm really walking through something. How did you process? Did you feel like you needed to tell people, or did you just keep it to yourself?
Like I said, we had shared with our family, and then we ended up sharing with our extended family, and then our church family as well. So word got around pretty quickly, especially with my husband being on staff at the church. We shared with the church staff, and then it just kind of spread through the church family, and I think that was good. There were people, I mean, just in any situation, there were people there to comfort, and then there were people there who meant well.
Of course.
But it, they meant well.
Right.
But it just wasn't received that way, or didn't come across that way. So there were hard times, there were challenges, there were times when I would walk into the church and someone would say something as a means of encouragement, and I literally would just have to turn around and walk out because I couldn't hold it together.
Well, in church for me, even after losing John Micah, it can be a really big trigger because it's such an emotional place in a wonderful way. But it's such a sacred, and I mean, in my opinion, we're standing on holy ground. You know, like that is what we are there to worship our Lord. But there's something about it that sometimes can be really hard thinking about, especially John Micah for me, but like other miscarriages still hurt, you know? Right. And so, people at our church can definitely, we have been so blessed by so many at our church after losing John Micah and walking through some miscarriages. But then there's some very well-meaning people.
Yeah, for sure.
We've done whole episodes on what not to say, but
that said some stuff that you're
just to throw a few out.
I don't really know how to take this right now. You know,
anything that starts with at least.
Yeah, just don't say.
Yeah, just don't at least you were early on. At least you can try again.
Right.
At least, you
can get pregnant.
Yeah, those are all things that we know you're trying to help us see the positives, but it devalues a life that was gone. You wouldn't, if somebody lost their mom or their dad, you wouldn't say, at least you had them for a little while. You wouldn't say any of those things.
And I think that there was one thing that just stuck out to me. A couple in our church family, it's just a couple they were always there for us all the time, whatever was going on. And they sent us a sympathy card. And that has just stuck with me forever. I'll probably tear up now. But being able to receive that sympathy card just let me know that it was the loss was real. You know,
This is
like it
a
was
very
real.
sad thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was very real, where, you know, sometimes when you talk about a miscarriage, it's just an awkward topic and people will change the course of the conversation or something like that. But when we received that card in the mail, I was just like, you know, they understand. Like, they understand that we just lost a child, even though we never held that child or saw that child.
Well, you feel like
We
there's
lost
nothing
a
to
child.
show for it.
Right.
Especially without having that sonogram photo. That's how all of our miscarriages have been labeled as chemical pregnancies. And so, there was never a sonogram picture. There was nothing. It was just the natural stuff that my body did. So I saw things to prove that there was life.
Right.
But that's it. And so you kind of feel silly, like, I don't feel like myself. I'm very sad. But you don't know that, you know.
It's like when they send that sympathy card, it acknowledges your grief and it gives you permission to grieve.
Yes.
And it validates all of the depth of the emotions of what you're feeling.
Yeah.
I had somebody from our church just bring us by a little tray of like sweet treats and cookies and things. And then I had another friend who, and here's where it doesn't really matter what kind thing you do. Like, she bought me like a head massager on Amazon. Like, I think she was just like, I just know you're hurting here, and some other like random.
Well, then you just know you're thought about
care package.
Yeah.
But it meant to me like, wow, you acknowledged that this was a really hard time in my life.
Yeah. I think that's good.
And I think for us, you just said, I wrote this in my story that was in the magazine, but just getting that card just showed that this death was just as real as any other type of death. I mean, it was different, but it was just as real.
Yeah. There was a heartbeat, and then there wasn't. Yeah.
Hey, if you guys are just now joining us, we have Rebecca, the editor of The Stand magazine here at AFA, and she is sharing her story of child loss from a miscarriage 13 years ago.
You mentioned in your article about a song that really stuck out to you during that time and that brought comfort. Do you mind talking about that?
No,
song?
not at all. Yeah, as I was, just thinking through things and processing things, and it was a while before I was really able to talk about it, like just several years. I don't know why. I just couldn't for some reason. But as I was processing things and grieving and just, saying, Lord, okay, why? That's so hard. There was a song titled "My Savior, My God" by Aaron Schust, and it said, "I'm not skilled to understand what God has willed, what God has planned. I only know at His right hand stands one who is my Savior." And that's what I had to cling to, because I don't know, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But His ways are greater than mine.
Yeah.
And so just having to cling to that during that
It's not that He caused your miscarriage, but there's an aspect of God's sovereignty, of God, you allowed this to happen,
Right.
and you are big enough to have stopped it, and I have to wrestle with that truth and that side of who you are and still love you at the end of the day.
And I'm just a person, like, I always want to know why. Like, whatever the situation,
Well, it just helps
I
me
just wanna know
handle
why.
things better.
Yes.
I'm the same way.
So I'm very analytical. I want to know why. I want to think through everything and process everything. And in this situation, I couldn't. I mean, it was just beyond my control.
Yeah.
And so I just had to trust and lean on Him.
We know that you did get pregnant again and you had a successful pregnancy. Will you tell us about your sweet girl?
Yes.
But then also, was that hard, to then get pregnant again?
Yes, it was scary. I mean, honestly, it was. So like I said, our son was 2 at the time, and then I got pregnant with the baby that we lost, and his due date was about the same week as my 2-year-old's due date.
Oh,
so it would have
wow.
been right about the same time. But yes, it was a little while after that before I got pregnant again. In fact, it's kind of a funny story. before my husband and I got married, John, we've just always had a heart for adoption, and we still don't know exactly what that's going to look like in our life. I'm getting kind of old now, so,
No, you're not.
but anyway, we just had a heart to adopt. So after we had our oldest, Will, and then lost the baby, we just said, okay, maybe this is the time. Because before we married, we said, God's given us a heart for adoption. This is something we want to do. And so we said, well, maybe this is the time. So we started down that path. And we had gone to our first meeting, and we were getting ready to fill out our paperwork and make our first payment for the process and all that. And we had shared with our church family that we were going to adopt, and they came alongside us and were very supportive. And so all that to say, we had shared, and we were at a high school football game on a Friday night, and I was eating just a big dill pickle, which I like to eat anyway. Like, I just like pickles. And so one of the ladies from our church came by, and she said, "Are you sure that you're adopted and you're not pregnant?"
Oh, my word.
And I was
So
like,
cliche, pickle eater.
I know. I was like, "I'm not pregnant, no." And so that was a Friday night, and so I went home, and I was like, maybe I should just take a pregnancy test before we submit this paperwork. And I didn't really have a reason to, because I was, I kept up with things, and anyway, So yes, that was a Friday night. So Saturday morning, my husband was in seminary at the time, so he was in the back bedroom studying, and I just thought, I'll take a pregnancy test just to be sure.
Rule it out. Let my mind be at ease.
And it was positive.
Oh, my goodness. Did you just bawl?
And so I just walked back to the bedroom, and like with the other two, I had been creative in how I told him. And so I just walked back to the bedroom and just held up the pregnancy test, and he went, "Huh?"
I love that.
And I said, "Uh-huh." And he went, "Are you sure?" And I was like, pretty sure. And he's like, "I think you should go take another one."
That's so funny.
So I did. So all that to say, yes, we were blessed with a little girl after we lost our baby, and she was born I guess it ended up being 2 years after.
Wow.
It was kind of 2 year increments. And so, yes, and so she is, she's very full of life. Her name's Ella Grace, and she and Will are very different. Will is kind of just very laid back, more reserved, and she's just very full of life and energy and keeps us going. And so it's just neat to see how different they are.
Well, and both of your kids shine the light of God, but I do want to mention Ella Grace.
I wanted to mention that too.
I mean, have you seen her videos on Facebook, Ann?
So sweet, leading devotions. I'm like, we might need
She's
to have
how
her
old
on
right
Hannah's
now?
Heart.
She's 10.
She gets on there and she's like, "Today is devotion," and then she's just going to preach the word.
And this is her, and that's something she came up with all on her own.
I love it.
Like,
So
she
neat.
just said, "Mama, I want to do this." And I thought, well, how can I say no
Right,
to
right.
that?
Yeah.
I mean, no. And she's done it the past few weeks with Easter and different things. We haven't, but she is very adamant. She's like, it is Sunday, and 4:00 was her time. She said Sunday at 4:00,
consistent.
and
Love it.
she is on it, and
that.
she prepares it. She decides what she wants to talk about, and finds a song to go with it and an activity, and so it's just something that the Lord has put on her heart to do. Yeah.
We've said this before, that it seems like obviously every child is special and unique and created in the image of God and has a purpose. But the ones that, if you've struggled with infertility or a child loss, and then this child comes that's this rainbow baby, there just seems to be an extra special, calling sometimes on their life. Like the enemy really tried to keep that child from coming into the world, and you definitely see that in your beautiful daughter's life.
Oh, thank you.
Good job, Mama.
No, it's not me. Trust me. So.
But just real quick, you did mention that you were scared.
Oh yes,
about
yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I was. Yeah, when we got pregnant with Ella Grace, yes, I was very scared, very uneasy. In fact, there was a time about halfway through my pregnancy that I started showing like a sign of miscarriage, and I panicked.
Which can be normal, or it can be a sign.
Right,
It's very
right,
scary.
right. And so went to the doctor, and everything checked out fine. But yes, I mean, it was just there was a while there. Yeah, I think probably the whole time I was just very anxious that everything was going to be okay.
Anyone else?
See, after loss is hard.
We had a guest on to talk about her book, Courageously Expecting, and it was really helpful for me after our loss to be in the moment and to still rejoice and to hold that child loosely and still leave it in God's hands. So I would encourage anybody who's had a loss, even if you're not expecting yet, go ahead and get the book, because it really helped prepare my heart to be able to carry that pregnancy and lean on him. But we are almost out of time. Went by
Once
so
again.
quickly, as always. Any last words of encouragement for anyone who's listening?
Let me think. I just know, like I said early on, that time, like I said, time really does help. But do allow yourself to grieve. I think that's the biggest thing, is allow yourself to grieve, because you have lost a life, you have lost a baby. It's a
real.
very real loss, and so just allow yourself to grieve and just lean hard on the Lord while you're doing so.
That's so good, Rebecca. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for
coming
having
on
me.
and for putting that article in the Hannah's Heart Issue. It's special for you to share that.
Well, thank you for allowing me to.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really special that we do remember those babies that, and gone from this world way too soon. And so we appreciate y'all when you let us know about these losses, but also for those pregnancies that come later. You guys, thank you so much again for listening to Hannah's Heart, and we hope to see you back next week.